TrajicK presents Behind the Beats.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is TrajicK. Behind the Beats, brought to you by TrajicK. You gotta excuse the way I sound. I am tired. It's late. And I promised some friends I was gonna get this video done. So I wanted to make sure at least I got this done now. Because I'm gonna be working on projects this week coming up. And this is the only time I really have to do it. So alright, so this is not a beginner's Ableton course. This isn't me teaching you how to get started with Ableton. I may do that in the future, but time restraints may or may not have that happen. I can get those that are in there that know it, what you should know, what you can use. Use Google. Go to YouTube. There's plenty of Ableton tutorial videos teaching you how to get up and running with Ableton that there's no need for me to teach you. And these guys are probably, well, not even probably, they're better teachers than I'll ever be at that. So I can only teach you what I got, which is my workflow and how to do this. So my thought process, I come from FL Studio. I would load it. I tried loading it before. It messed up my system with the recording software. So we're not going to go there again because I don't want to do this for the third time. Well, no, now the fourth time. FL Studio, if you used it, you know, you go to patterns, you're making a ton of patterns. You have, those patterns are associated to whatever your instruments are. So once you have those in place, you can create as many patterns as you want based on those instruments. You want drum and snare together. You want kick by itself. You want just snare. You want piano, synths, whatever you want. You can have different patterns for each one of those. The problem is it's very disorganized. But it's very easy. Everything's right in front of you. You paint patterns, copy paste patterns, drag and drop patterns. That's great. And it works for what it works for. There's been some great beats that's been made with it. It's a great piece of software. I just wanted something with a little bit more of an MPC feel. I know right now they're working, well, not working, but they've released the new version of FL Studio. I actually have it. And the performance mode and everything else, with everything it's got, it's very nice. But performance mode feels like it wants to be what Ableton is, but it does not have the chops to pull off. If I want an 8-bar, I'm not taking up 4 boxes. Which, if you're in FL Studio, you know what I mean, in performance mode. I'm not restricted to 1-bar chops and a 16-bar area. Which is like this, if you say 1 through 16, this box is 1 bar in FL Studio. Here, if you double click, you'll see this box is actually a 4-bar beat. See, there's 1 bar, there's 2, there's 3, this is 4. This is 4-bar beat. This is the sample I use. I'm gonna mute it. No, not mute it. I'm gonna solo this track with the S and just click right here. So that's the sample. What I did is I listened and I saw what I wanted out of the beat. And I simply just double clicked on an area. So let's say if I wanted this, I could get this. But let's take a step back. How did I get the sample this perfect and chopped out of the loop? I don't do it inside Ableton. You can, and I know you can warp it, you can slice, cut, all that other stuff. I just seem to work faster at samples because I've had to do it for so long outside of any program inside SoundForge. SoundForge has been where I learned to loop and chop. So I go back to that because for me, it's easier to chop in something that I already know. Now for you, you can go in here. I mean, I've seen some amazing stuff done inside here. That's just not my workflow. It's faster for me in SoundForge than it is inside anything else that I've messed with. I mean, I can figure it out later, but right now, not going to. So right here, what you got is everything that I found that I liked inside the beat. So I found certain things inside the beat I wanted. Like if I play this right here. So I wanted that. I wanted the hit there, the hit here, everything you hear. I wanted it longer here. So you listen to the beat. For me, it's a more organic feel. And like I said, if I wanted this, now that I have the chop and I bring it back in from SoundForge exactly the way I want, it's looped exactly where I want, it's going to give me the markers reasonably where I want. So then if I need something out of it, if I need, say I want this to be a warp marker, I can double click. Do that one more time. Hover over the little areas that pop up. You see the little ghost warp right there. Double click. Got it. I won't need that right now. So once I have everything to all the warp markers set the way I want, right click, and you're gonna slice to a new MIDI track. When you see it, it may look like this, or it might be on something else. I don't know if it's on bar on default, not sure. But the bar, you're gonna slice to warp marker, use the built-in, hit OK, and when you do, you'll end up with something like this. Let me solo this out. Yeah. Oh. I know, sounds crazy. But this is why I keep this sample and why this is called sample chop. It's chopped up, but if anything gets messed up, but I want to keep the loop, I keep the audio file. So this way I'll always be able to go back and have a clean sample that's untouched. I've got my kick and snares in one row. This is all my kicks right here. Hi-hats, bass line that was played out. If I need to see the instrument, you just double click the top name. You see I've got a drum rack, so you can see these are actually programmed. Synth, strings. Let's go to the regular string. Let's see this. Now, quick note on my strings. Let me solo these. And let me play this one. Yeah. You'll notice I'm using Action Strings by Contact. Good strings. Very good strings. It's expensive, but it's worth it. It gives such a different feel to the just playing, just having the strings that have nothing dynamic to them. I could take the same strings and just use a different, use a regular, just where you play regular, where it's just playing straight, flat, nothing else, no dynamics to it, no motion, no movement. The fact that it has a little bit of movement, it's not much, but it adds something to the track itself. My synth, that's pretty much all it does. It's Isotope Iris, as you can see here. I like the Iris. It's a little top heavy on CPU, but I like it. Horns, I'm using Brass Ensemble. That's from the default factory settings. Why am I using factory settings? One, I don't feel like buying horns. I can't afford everything. Plus, if you layer right, if you look at how it's layered, you see how all this is all layered out. So what you end up getting is something like this. Wait for it. Why the, oh, you're probably asking why this is longer than here. In my horns, let's go ahead and open them up. The wrench you see will open up your plugin. Again, excuse the time that it's taking to load. The recording software is pulling a lot of my RAM right now because I'm having to loop it back to get this to sound right. Inside the orchestral plugin, which if you have the Contact Factory library and you go to your strings, brass ensemble, so wait, sorry, brass strings, sorry, just told you I'm tired. Orchestral, okay, so yeah, that was right. Orchestral, you go to brass, brass ensemble, right up there. That's what you see right here. And what I chose out of it was staccato. I could choose any of the other ones. I just like the way this sounded. First I had the sustain, which makes the long notes. So when I first tested to make sure I used the sustain first so I could, so if you hear it, where's my horns? That was the way it was gonna be when I first did it, but I liked how staccato sounded, especially, let me close this out because I need room, further down into the track here, as you can see. So now you're probably wondering, well, how did I choose these notes? Why did I choose these notes? WorkFlow. This is the over button. If you're using Ableton 9, unfortunately, I've used it. It's good, but it's not Ableton 8. The workflow has changed, and they're working on implementing, bringing back some of the functionality they took out of 8 that made 8 remarkable at just recording, loop recording on one single cell. So as you can see here, let me zoom out a little bit. There, as you can see, let me just click that. All right, one. See, and this is 9. So if I zoom out, whatever. But this is 8 bars right here. So you got 8 bar run. And what I would do is I'd click over, right? And if I go to my horns, see how it's green here? And turn this off for a second, watch. Make sure it's armed. Now if I wanted to add something else to these horns, if I needed to add something to this horn, but I wanted to do it while it was playing, if I have this on, it's not going to work. It's going to go ahead and start recording, but I don't want that to happen. So, number one, how did I just get that countdown that you may have missed or may not have seen? This is how you get a countdown. Right click. Let me click off so you can see it. Right click. You can count in, is usually set to none. I like mine set to 1 bar, just get me prepped. Some people like 2. I just want 1 bar. I want to get right to it before I lose the idea. Then I have my overage button right there. So turn that off. Go to my horns. So if I wanted that, now if I said, oh, I like that horn, I want to put that in there, even though I'm not going to put that in there. I can have it, I can sit there, turn on my overage button, and this be able to record. Let me just put my count in back, because I think I turned my count in. No, it's 1 bar. My over button is on. Oh. Y over button on. There we go. So if I wanted that, I just recorded. But I don't need those. As you can see, still red. Turn off overage, the overdub, excuse me. Keep calling it overage. I'm tired. Turn off the overdub. It's back to green. Play around. That's how I was able to figure out what chords I wanted. Turn off the metronome. Okay, the bass line. Alright, so that's the bass line. Oh, I don't think I told you. I think I said it in another video. Well, a video that didn't make the cut because it crashed. Everything you see here is going to be flat, so there won't be any effects. So let me double click so you can see there's no effects. Part of my workflow, guys, is I decided to not do most of my mixing here inside Ableton anymore. I wanted to be able to turn off the producer and get into being an engineer. So there's tricks I know now as an engineer that I can do that would cause right here the performance for the CPU load to shoot up, where I can do more in a 64-bit program, because I am using Ableton Live 8, which is 32-bit, means I have limited resources as far as memory. So everything counts. I'd rather just get my performance in here, get what I want, and then go into my DAW, which I'm using Studio One, and put my effects in there. So sometimes you've got to, once you know your equipment and you know your plugins, you'll know what you want to add to things. Like for instance, let's look at the hi-hats, right? In my hi-hats, if you look at them, that looks boring as hell. Look at that. They sound boring as hell. Boring as hell. Well, actually, hold on. Yeah. This delay, turn this to, I think it was 1/8 D. See how different that is? It gives it a little bit more swing to the actual track. So the difference is, let's do this one more time. This is without the delay. Let's look at it again. See? Very simple. Then add a delay. just happened. Must have hit something. Trying to do two things at once. All right. So the hi-hats, I'm not going to do that in here. Why I'm doing it this way, as I probably said, I don't want to be locked down to my effects in this stage of the game. I want to be able to go into Studio One with an open palette to do what I want to do with the sounds as I want to do them. So bass is gonna be plain 2. There. The synth is gonna be simple. Okay, so let's go through this one more time because I'm not sure if I did all these here. This is the sample chops. Pretty much the same. Wait, I'll start that over. There we go. As you can see, Contact, that's my Scarabee Rickenbacker bass. Really dig that. My horns, I know I already played them. I'll play it one more time. There's pauses there. Then this one. And this one. Then over here, the Isotope Iris. And we played the strings already. So what I end up having is, what I do is I trigger over here all the things that I need. So I'll bounce back and forth. For this one, I kept it kind of simple because I knew the song had a lot going on. And I didn't need to switch up the beat as much. Plus, because of the sample chops, I had to match my drums a little bit more. So it didn't make sense me creating a whole bunch of drums that I knew, because of the sample chops and the way the sample chops are, it's kind of like a Primo style from Premiere. I knew that I was going to need my drums to kind of follow more of the beat than anything else. So what I ended up with was, for the hook, and then your one of the verses. I won't say first verse because I kind of kept moving around in this. See, like that. Then of course with this one, yeah. And of course, I love this one right here. Like, I like the way that was running. So a piece, what you end up doing for the workflow. Now what I do is, see, now you have all your instruments and you have all of the sounds that you need across. So these are all your scenes. Not, I shouldn't say sounds, but your scenes. My intro, I scored my intro. What I ended up doing was I left this alone, so it's going to play. kick. I actually just deleted stuff out of the chorus kick because I like the breakdown towards the end, but I didn't need all the whites. I didn't need most of this stuff up here. The hi-hat left alone. I wanted to play through the entire song. The bass, I cut out some stuff out of that. The horns did the same thing. I just left the front because I wanted to pop at the front and left a gap and then pop at the end right before we go into the first verse. Again, here, deleted some stuff out of the synth. I wanted it to come in a little bit later. And if you notice, if you look at you notice all of the timelines up here, except for there. So let's start with here. So all of my timelines are pretty close to being on the money. So if you look at here, as far as where how I staggered stuff, what I mean by on the money, I mean they're kind of staggered. So kicks, sorry, right here. I started my kicks a little after 7 here. Then my hi-hats, I kept it through the whole thing. Then my bass, I came in a little after 7 here. My horns, they pop in the front, but they don't come in until after 8 here. My synths start a little after 7 here as well. My strings start around 5. So now everything is not starting at the same time, but they kind of build in real fast. Sorry, I was away from the mic. They don't start at the same time, but they build in real fast. So right after 5, you already have some music or you already have some music playing. So you come in with an intro that sounds like. Alright, let's take that one more time. See, there's no drums. Hi-hat's been working. Bass is there. Horns is there. String. So strings just came in. Kick. That's how it comes right in. So we have the intro. Then I don't go right to the chorus. I go right to this verse, and I kind of bounce back and forth between these three. So I just kept moving around, like this for 8 on the first verse, then this, then I went to C, then I went back to this for the second verse, then I went to A for 4, C for 4, and B for 8. That made up my 16s, and here, I think I just played the intro, not the intro, excuse me. I think I just played the chorus out a bunch of times because I knew inside Studio One I was going to just do my fade outs and any dropouts in there. So the beat looks, if you go into now, we come out of the arrangement view, to get it recorded, all I did was hit record, hit this button, and then just play out like I just showed you. And that built this by just playing out what I just showed you, which is, again, just to make it simple. No, not simple, but just for you to understand. I clicked record. I push intro. I then pushed the intro. I went to this verse. Went to this 8 bars. Then this one. Then the chorus. Then this one, because I like the way this sounded, I wanted to keep this by itself. I wanted this to be the ending of everything. So then for the second verse, came here, went back to the 8 bar. For the third verse, 4 bars of this, 4 bars of this, 8 bars of that. That's your 16 right there. And then to close it out, I let the chorus play out a whole bunch of times. And then I knew once I get into Studio One, see, played the chorus a bunch of times, and then just cut it off here. I knew when I get into Studio One, this would be the zone where I start fading stuff out and doing what I need. So I think that's all. That's it. I think that's all I got for y'all in this one, man. It's really late, and I need to knock out. So, again, I apologize for me sounding extremely tired, but I am. Hopefully this helped y'all. I do want to make sure that it was helpful to you. So, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There'll be a button that shows up for that. Make sure you check out any of the music I got on Spotify. Hopefully it inspires you to keep working at your craft. Like whatever you do, just keep working hard. Keep doing what you need to do to. It's not just about making money, and it's not just about making music. It's about just being able to express yourself. This is the biggest and greatest time that we've ever had as artists to be able to express ourselves. So this is TrajicK, the Toxic Hustle, behind the beats. Y'all have a good night. Peace.
Alright, can't stop, won't stop. 2010 I'm killing with 3 album drops. I'm on the top. Ladies feeling me like I be throwing up the rock. Okay, let's begin. I get nasty, baby, when I sip my gin. We're kissing, tonguing, rubbing, clutching. Haters piss cause they get nothing except the middle finger.